Hello and welcome. I'm delighted to facilitate a panel discussion today between Everything £5 and Portaltech Reply. I have two very special guests with me today. I have Sagi Cohen from Everything £5 and Nikhil Anand from Portaltech Reply. Thank you both for joining today. Just briefly, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Neil Howarth. I'm the Solution Director for SAP Customer Experience across UK and I. And today's topic was really just to talk about and discuss how we've helped Everything £5 move from an on-premise investment, leveraging that and moving it to the SAP Commerce Cloud, and the challenges and benefits they've seen from that. So, Sagi, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit more about Everything £5.
Hi, my name is Sagi Cohen. I'm the product owner at Fiverr London, who is the owner of everything5pounds.com. It's a fast fashion website that was established in 2010. I worked as product owner for E5P in the past 2 years, and I'm in charge of all the aspects of the website, from technology to product management.
Thank you, Sagi, and thank you for joining today. It's really appreciated. Nikhil Anand, could you very briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about Portaltech Reply and their role in this?
Hello everyone, my name is Nikhil Anand and I'm the Chief Architect at Portaltech UK with the headquarters in London. We are the only SAP Gold partner with SAP recognized expertise. I'm responsible for the SAP customer experience offering within Portaltech Reply with a key focus on SAP Commerce, Marketing, SAP Commerce Customer Cloud, as well as Qualtrics, across the industry verticals with the current focus on the B2B market as well. We basically help businesses continue their success with continuous innovation and technical deliveries.
Thank you very much, Nikhil, for that introduction. So I guess the first question I had initially for Sagi was just to understand a little bit more about the current challenges and the pain points of the solution that was there. It would be good to understand a bit more about those challenges.
Sure. So our previous solution was based on open source platform that have been customized for 10 years. We reached to a level that the platform is very messy. The database was denormalized and not scalable, and any small change could break the entire system stability. Also, we had lack of integrity between the systems. The old system was not stable anymore, and we could not scale up our business to support with the new business model. Also, we had problem of orders that leaking between the systems, problems that we did not have one source of truth in our backend, and that's led the decision to search for another solution that will be more stable for us.
Thank you, Sagi. I appreciate you summarizing that. And I think what would be really interesting to understand in a little bit more detail is just the considerations you made in that decision-making process and how you came to the conclusion of proceeding with SAP Commerce Cloud.
Yes, so the overall vision was to get rid of our old order management system and consolidate systems together. We already ran on Hybris frontend for a few years, but we never complete the full backend integration. Through the decision of fully implementing Hybris, we identified the option to migrate our solution to SAP Cloud. This allows us to save money of hosting, save money about a team that needs to maintain the infrastructure like DevOps, and also get fully monitored and supported environment. And from now on, we don't need to worry anymore about infrastructure stability, scalability, and version updates.
Brilliant. No, thank you, Sagi. Really appreciate you going into that detail. I think now would be a good point to bring in Nikhil as well and just understand a little bit about your perspective on those points and also how it would affect other customers in a similar situation to Everything £5.
Thanks, Neil. I'd like to say that most of the points Sagi says sort of resonates with what we hear from a lot of different customers in our field. I'll try to summarize these points. Some of the concerns we hear from businesses is that the solution that they put in place, whether that be custom development that they've done over the last few years, as Sagi mentioned, or whether they've chosen a platform that works for them. After a few implementations, the point that they make is that the solution is no longer flexible. That is, once they've put in everything that they wanted from a solution perspective, it doesn't give them that flexibility that they really want from a solution like SAP or a custom solution that they might have taken in-house. It becomes really hard to manage, and the overall agility to build new features on the solution are not really practical anymore. The second point that we hear more often nowadays is the total cost of ownership for their managed platform internally is really difficult to control. It goes to a point wherein they're spending too much money in managing the platform on a day-to-day basis. Implementations that they've made in the past sort of do not leverage the emerging technologies and the sort of roadmap that a solution like SAP takes into consideration with the overall architecture piece of a single responsibility principle, microservices, headless architecture is not really considered when solutions are built internally. So the aspects of architecture are typically ignored when a solution runs over a period of time internally. So again, it introduces sort of areas whereby they cannot be flexible, introduce new features. The roadmap of the solution is not really considered much, and new features are developed and reinvented in a way whereby the out-of-the-box feature sets that a platform like SAP offers are ignored because the work that they've done did not really consider what was coming from a SAP Commerce roadmap perspective, and the future of the solution is not typically taken into consideration when the implementation starts. This was quite different with everything £5, where we set up immediately when we started the platform implementation aspect as well as the upgrade to consider the future roadmap of SAP and leverage the feature sets from a solution perspective.
Thank you, Nikhil. Really appreciate you going into that detail, and Sagi, thank you also. And I think if I was to very briefly summarize, one of the things which really took this project to the next level was the partnership and collaboration between all three parties, and also the scalability, the reliability challenges, and how they were overcome. And I think that brings us on quite nicely to understand, maybe firstly from Sagi, just in terms of have those benefits been realized moving across to SAP Commerce Cloud?
Yes, sure. So first benefit was the cost saving. It was immediate from the moment we went live to SAP Cloud. In addition, due to different reasons, we have been to code freeze for more than 2 years, and we did not push any improvement to our website for a long while, accumulating big tech debt. The project with Reply Portaltech accelerated our go live with a new Hybris setup. And since the project was over, we are in an incremental process of improvements to our website, focusing on the user journey. So we got the keys for the new car, and now we start the driving.
Delighted to hear that, No. And I think what would be interesting to understand is maybe just a few examples of how that's helped you in real life, and some of those benefits that you've had.
Yeah, sure. So the main points of improvements are performance and stability increase through the consolidation of the different systems and getting rid of the legacy platforms. Hybris works like a Swiss watch. We have now the benefit of increased functionality and increased flexibility and more control through the back office in order to manage the storefront. Example from today morning, we optimized our filtering for sizing on the website with a few mouse clicks in the back office. As we ran with old version of Hybris previously for the front end, we did not have all the control through the back office. So through the new setup, we now utilize the full control that Hybris provides through back office. Also, the flexibility of the new system with new business processes that we are willing to achieve, like creation of new product lines, adding new brands, and opening new online shops on a single platform, like in a multi-tenancy setup.
Yeah, I'm really, really delighted to hear about those benefits and how it's impacted the business. And obviously being across UK, but also across Israel and Cyprus, I'd love to understand a little bit more about the benefit of having an experienced partner and how that worked in practice.
Sure. So although we have in-house team that can build and code and maintain our current hybrid solution and also our previous hybrid solution, our team was very small and did not have experience with particular experience with SAP Cloud, and also no experience with hybrid architecture. So I think that the choice of experienced partner is very important, because Portaltech helped us not only with the development process, but also gave consultancy and gave the best practice through the entire project.
Brilliant. No, I'm delighted to hear that, and I think it'd be nice to hear a little bit more from Nikhil and your perspective on that partnership, and again, how it relates to customers in a similar position to everything £5.
Sure, Neil. Thank you, Sagi, for your comments on the partnership. I think it's quite important for a partnership with the customer to be based on a mutual trust and common goal. I think our partnership with Everything £5 would set up upfront with these common goals that Sagi described around managing the platform from a flexibility perspective and being able to onboard new features really quickly with their global expansion plan, as well as the multi-brands plan that they had. We were very quick in agreeing to those steps, because this wasn't just an upgrade and a migration to the new version of SAP Commerce, but also it involved utilizing the main features that Sagi mentioned earlier, that they were not really leveraging from the platform, and hence were having different components in their solution landscape that they had to depend on, that reduced the sort of overall agility and flexibility that they could leverage from the platform. So it was quite important for us to understand those pieces. And as Sagi mentioned, we consulted them in terms of the best plan in place to manage those platforms to be taken out of the solution landscape, so that they could go much faster. It's upgrading to the latest versions from an SAP Commerce perspective for most of the customers is mainly around being able to leverage the new features and reduce the overall cost of ownership on the platform. One of the examples that if I was to give was around the context-driven services and around personalization, on how the new features with an integrated solution from SAP Commerce could help the customers in terms of bringing that personalized experience to the end customers, and overall helping the turnover and the sales ratio of the customers. And also utilizing the new architecture principles around microservices and with Kima, all the solutions that are in place. So in essence, closely aligning, and that's where we come in and we help our customers with, is closely aligning with the SAP Commerce and the other experience components with the functional and the technical roadmap. What we hear from most of the customers, and one of the key benefits, or most of the key benefits around SAP Commerce cloud migration, is that enables you for that future roadmap, whereby you could leverage the best benefits from the solution today, but also prepare you from a roadmap perspective to leverage the best solutions that SAP keeps on introducing and investing in to drive that best customer experience for their retailers. SAP Commerce roadmap alignment is another thing I've mentioned, and it is quite important to be aligned with the end of support for the product and be on top of the latest versions, to not only just prepare for the future from a functional perspective, but also be on top of the support model from SAP, so that you're never out of support from a solution perspective. the better customer experience and drive that by utilizing the key features of decoupled architecture, as well as driving that omni-channel experience irrespective of the channel that you want to integrate with. And the solution enables you with its features around the headless architecture to enable that area. Also reducing the overall complexity and the operational cost that any retailer doesn't want to incur. They want to focus on their key business areas rather than managing a huge complex platform and overrun costs within the organization. So SAP Commerce Cloud, in terms of the cloud instance, gives them that experience and the functionality for them to focus on their key business, as well as giving them key areas around continuous integration, continuous development on the cloud itself that they could leverage from.
If I can pick up on something very quickly, you mentioned the consultancy aspect and guiding everything £5 through the process. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about that and the way the project was managed as well?
So as I mentioned, this project was twofold. One of the key aspects was the SAP cloud migration, but the other aspect was even more important, whereby they wanted to leverage the key capabilities of the SAP Commerce Plus, introduce all the integration points that were not really integrated with the backend when we initially started this project. The delivery process was the key area that helped us to achieve that, and it's something that's been matured over the last few years and focus on areas like planning, the business change itself and prepare the businesses for that change, the demand management, whereby you cannot upfront understand the entire solution and understand all the requirements, but having a solid demand management process in place that enables you to quickly adapt and replan and help the organizations to move much faster is something that's been developed over the last few years within Portaltech, with experience with multiple customers. That was quite key on this project as well, because it allows us to sort of stabilize the platform, manage any technical debts, manage the automation piece, and reduce the overall effort on the mundane tasks that organizations spend around CI/CD, automation on testing, that takes away the key focus on the project. Also on projects, the sort of key roles and responsibilities are defined, but sometimes you have to go over and beyond those key roles and responsibilities that are defined up front. I think it was key on this particular project, whereby our experience that we sort of gathered over the last few implementations in the past few years helped us to bring all the parties together, whereby we became the focal point for interaction between all those parties and took on that responsibility from not just the integration piece, but also from a go live perspective of managing areas around data migration, which was another key area that had to be managed so that we could reduce the overall release time of the platform and prepare a sort of well-scripted plan for everything £5 with the SAP team to migrate them by reducing the overall downtime. It's also important that the team that works on the project takes the entire responsibility and the ownership. So our definition of done on a particular project is not just the implementation of a functionality. It goes end to end. It's rather the satisfaction that we get from our customers. Like Sagi mentioned, when the implementation is live and operates as per the business needs and does not deviate from them. That sort of is key for us from a project process perspective and the delivery methodology that we follow within Portaltech. It was great to work with everything £5 from the outset itself, because they understood us and we understood them, and hence the collaboration was great from a go live perspective.
Thank you, Nikhil. And I wanted to take the opportunity to thank both Sagi and Nikhil, not just for their time today, but respective partnerships as well. It's amazing when all three of us come together, what's being created here. SAP Commerce Cloud gives the base, but you guys have brought it to life. And, you know, if I could summarize the benefits very quickly. I've seen a lot around the effectiveness, around having a scalable, agile, and a platform that you can now innovate on. But also the effectiveness and how everything £5 can now really have a next generation customer experience to deliver to their customers. Sagi, any closing thoughts from your perspective before we wrap up?
Thank you very much for letting us the opportunity to participate in this panel. And this is for us only the beginning of the new roadmap and the journey with the new platform from SAP. So hopefully you will see new features and new products coming alive sooner or later.
Amazing. Very excited for that. And Nikhil, any closing thoughts from your perspective?
I'd just like to add that it was great to be part of this panel. I think we've achieved really in quite a short period of time a lot of functionality, as well as the key sort of goals and objectives of everything £5. And from our experience perspective, we've gained a lot in terms of the cloud migration. So we'd like to speak to a lot more customers, and any customers who want to sort of pick our brains on the migration piece, we're happy to do that. So please reach out, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Nikhil, and thank you again, both of you, for your time. We'll close out the session now. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Neil House here, Solution Director for SAP Customer Experience. I hope the session there was insightful. Thank you, Sagi and Nikhil, for sharing your experiences on the migration to SAP Commerce Cloud. And I'm joined by them both now. And I really appreciate everyone who's joined today. Thank you for taking the time. Now we've got a really good opportunity to have some live Q&A on this topic. So we'd love for people to put any questions you have in the chat. I think at the moment we've actually got a couple already. That's brilliant. So I'll start with the first one, and this one I think will be for Sagi. So we have a question here around, have you had any downtime while switching to the cloud? So I'm not sure if you'll be able to comment on that one, Sagi.
Yes, we had downtime. Downtime is required in the last phase, in the last milestone of the cloud go live, because SAP needs to migrate the data from the on-prem solution to the cloud setup. And only SAP is allowed to touch your database and do the activities for the data migration. We had approximately 4 hours of downtime during the night when there is low traffic on our website.
Okay.
Let me just
thank you, Sagi.
Neil, let me just add
one
point to it. Is, in terms of the downtime, as we mentioned during the video, we sort of scripted the steps alongside SAP team and the Everything £5 team to migrate the data and have that data set being migrated to the SAP Commerce Cloud environment with the reduced amount of downtime. So the downtime could actually be reduced by following these steps that we developed on this particular project. And the Delta data migration scripts that we managed to implement as part of this particular project could actually help organizations to reduce the downtime even further. And based on the specific requirement, that particular Delta data set that needs to be migrated that Sagi was talking about, could actually be further reduced by optimizing and utilizing these scripts. Now, in respect of the data set, just to give an idea of the data set that E5P had to migrate. Obviously, we started the migration before the downtime, and the data set was in the range of more than 12, 13 million orders with multiple order entries. Obviously, they get multiplied with the number of order entries within the order. But the data set by the order standards was quite huge, and that's why the Delta data set that we had to migrate required a reduced amount of downtime.
Thank you, Nikhil. And yeah, thank you. I think that that's it. I guess to summarise, very little and in a non-peak period, and Nikhil's also suggested some strategies there to minimise that even further. So that's brilliant, and thank you everyone for putting the questions in. So the next one I have here is how long was the project to migrate from on-prem to CCV2? So maybe Sagi, you could answer that very quickly.
Sure. Our project was, the overall duration of project was nearly 1 year, but our project was not only including the cloud migration. We had a deep refactoring of our entire setup. We changed our order management system. We changed some of the integrations that we had. We worked on the UI and UX of the site. So if to exclude only the migration part, I think maybe Nikhil can give better picture.
Yeah, so and then as Sagi said, this project, and we called it out in the video as well, the project was twofold. One aspect was a straight upgrade and migration to SAP Commerce Cloud, and the other aspect was decommissioning of a lot of systems within the E5P landscape to leverage the benefit of the SAP Commerce solution in its entirety. Now, the major effort of the project around the planning and the implementation with new integrations, with new payment systems, the order management system, and all of that, if we were to discount that, because that potentially is not going to be the case for every migration that happens from an on-prem instance to SAP Commerce Cloud. Typical migration could be completed with 4 to 6 weeks, I would say, with multiple dry runs on these environments and managing the migration. But it would depend from project to project, because in some instances you would have to take out certain instances of areas that you currently have in your landscape. But just to give you an idea of a plain migration from on-prem to cloud without any changes to the functional and the technical integration piece, it could pretty much be wrapped up in 4 to 6 weeks.
Thank you, Nikhil. That's really insightful, and I'm sure there'll be some additional questions around that, but certainly when it's specific to the customers. So thank you, and thank you, Sagi, for giving the overview of the journey. So the next question I have here is any specific challenges or lessons learned around data migration to CCV2 which can be shared. So maybe Nikhil, you might want to answer that one based on the experience. I know you touched on it there a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I can expand on that. So as Sagi said, there's a dependency on the SAP team for the data migration, and a well-scripted plan between the SAP team and the integrator that actually performs the migration is quite important, and that's one of the main lesson that we learned across this migration period, to do that multiple times. That sort of had that well-scripted plan from us and SAP, and also the validation process that SAP introduced for validating the database migration, and the steps that they introduced to make sure that any changes made on the platform, because you perform the migration in multiple steps and not just one step, and you're also building on the platform during that point in time. And having that sort of validation step that SAP has in place that sort of guarantees the data migration quality and the integrity and gives you that comfortableness around whether the data is fully migrated or not. That's one of the key area that was developed as part of this project that helped us performing those migrations, but also helped us from going on at the pace that we wanted to from a project implementation perspective for new integrations, for new database changes that were put on the project. So I would say from implementation perspective, the main lesson that was learned was to make sure that we validate the data migration and perform that in multiple steps and not just one, so that it gives you that confidence of the data quality and the data robustness that gets migrated to the SAP Commerce environment.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Nikhil. And I'm conscious of time, and I'm really appreciative of the questions being put in. So continue to put them in. Thank you very much. So next question, and this would be for you, Sagi, probably first, if that's okay. What type of integration did you have with CCV2, and was it integrated with any on-prem solutions or cloud solutions like a CRM and ERP? And I think you very briefly touched on the order management piece in the session earlier as well.
Our CCV2 is integrated with our warehouse management system. Of course, integrated with payment gateways. We are integrating with a global expansion solution called Global E that is supporting with our global deliveries and payments. Of course, integrated with CRM tool, with Google Analytics and another tracking solution, integrating with push notifications tool. Of course, all the social media networks and the advertising networks. We have integration with recommendation engine. And probably I forgot some integrations, but there are pretty much of them.
One of the key ones that we also introduced as part of this particular project, Sagi pretty much summed up all, I think, but from a data analytics perspective and reporting, Google BigQuery was one of the integrations that we built as part of the project itself to support E5P in terms of those real-time analytics and reporting that they wanted from the solution. And Sagi, I think, utilizes them to a great extent in all the marketing campaigns that are run.
Yeah, good one, Kyle. So to elaborate, we have real-time data stream from Hybris backend to our data warehouse on Google BigQuery, and we are able to do analytics on real-time to support with our decision-making during the day.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. That's a good summary and lots of integrations there. I'm sure we could talk about that for a bit of time. That's brilliant. The next question that's come in here, and I think it's a really interesting one, a good discussion point. So thank you for this. And Sagi, I'll let you answer it first, and then Nikhil, maybe you can add to it. So from a strategy point of view, have you considered a brand new implementation rather than an upgrade and migration on the SAP Commerce Cloud?
No, because we already ran on Hybris frontend for a few years. We started our Hybris on-prem solution in 2014. So the fastest time to market for us was to upgrade and migration and not start new implementation from scratch. And we have so many business processes that are running in the backend that to implement the project from scratch will take us maybe double time than it took us now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sagi. And Nikhil, anything to add to that, maybe from a Portaltech reply perspective as well, if you're looking at projects outside of this as well?
Yeah, I'd like to add on the point that Sagi mentioned. It pretty much depends on the implementations done until now and the state of the platform that it is in. Now, a brand new implementation with an upgrade and migration are two different areas altogether, and the timeline could massively differentiate between the two approaches. Now, obviously, an upgrade and a migration from its sole perspective of just taking it over from lift and shift and away from an on-prem solution to the cloud is fairly an easy exercise, a quick exercise from migration perspective, with a few steps that need to be followed religiously. However, a complete brand new implementation might have a completely new objective from a solution perspective and could divide the sort of platform into multiple components, utilizing more of, depending on what version of the platform the organization actually utilizes, the approach might be to go with the more of an headless approach, a microservices approach, whereby dividing the components into key specific areas. And in those cases, it might make sense, but it again, as I said earlier, depends on the project to project in terms of what are the key objectives that you want to achieve from the solution itself when you perform the migration. And in some instances, to be honest, it might make sense to have complete new replatforming by utilizing new areas that have been ignored on the solution. But I would say in majority of the cases, it would be more beneficial to make sure you are aligned with the support model so that you are on the latest version of SAP Commerce, so that you can leverage the new features and generate that great customer experience from your storefront perspective, and perform a migration from managing the platform to SAP Commerce Cloud, so you leverage the benefit of the total cost of ownership of the platform itself.
Thank you, Sagin. Thank you, Nikhil. And I think that's a really interesting point just at the end as well. I can very quickly touch on it from an SAP perspective, but both options are obviously available, but there is a clear route to upgrade and migrate. I would say for 90% of the customers we work with, and that saves you doing a re-implementation, which means you maximize the TCO savings and can move quicker to the cloud. And I think that's always good to investigate in a case-by-case basis. So another question that's just come in here, and one for Sagi, and appreciate this kind of information can be a little bit sensitive, but maybe you can give a ballpark of the amount of average orders or traffic that's going through the platform at the moment, and also maybe what the expectations are in future as well. Obviously, you're planning for a peak period coming up in the next couple of months with Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
I would not share our business information, but I can only say that we have traffic of about 5 million visitors every month, and the stability of the system is very strong if this is the concern. We see very good performance since the migration to the cloud in terms of page load time and concurrency and the amount of users that can be running on the site on the same time.
Yeah, no, completely understood. And Nikhil, anything to add on that with some of the customers you're working with as well, and what you're seeing in terms of volumes? Obviously, we're leveraging Microsoft Azure in our hyperscaler partnership here, so the sky's the limit, and we have customers doing a wide range of volumes and transactions. But anything from your experience?
Yeah, I think one of the things, obviously, as part of the migration to the SAP CC V2 cloud, and we keep talking about this point, which is the total cost of ownership, and the benefit in terms of the scalability of the solution to support a wide range of variation between the orders from one time to some other day where the variation could be more than 200%, and not having to have all those environments ready and launched in the cloud itself, and not causing you a lot of cost to manage them is something which is quite important. So, and having the environment that performs with the security that you require from it is something which is really important. And SAP Commerce Cloud gives us that, and that's something that I think E5P has benefited hugely from a security as well as the scalability and the performance of the environment itself.
Maybe I will add that during the project, Portaltech helped us with the setup of the cloud environment. So we ran performance tests, and then we had the fine-tuning to the setup, and Portaltech helped with the configuration of the cloud infrastructure until we reached to a level that we are happy with. So it was a process during the migration process to set up the infrastructure correctly. So Portaltech managed this process with the support team from SAP.
Super. Sorry, Sagi, for coming across you there. No, that's brilliant to get that insight, and thank you, Nikhil, as well. So we have one more question here, and feel free to add any more additional questions into the chat whilst we're fortunate enough to have Nikhil and Sagi joining us for the session. So the question here, I'll probably go to you, Nikhil, first, and I'll try and give a little bit of a view as well on the roadmap around CPI. So I think SAP Cloud Platform Integration, and if you've had any discussions with your customers around moving from Data Hub to SAP Cloud Platform Integration. It's quite a specific question as well, and being non-technical myself, I'm happy to take this one away as well, and go into some details, share some stuff after this session as well. But any thoughts, maybe, Nikhil, from your perspective?
Okay, it's not specific to something that was performed on this particular project, because Data Hub wasn't really a component in the overall landscape. But I understand where the question is coming from in terms of the sort of move from Data Hub into CPI, or an integration with other components of ERP with PI or PO in the new phase, whereby a Data Hub is going to move out. And then there's no one particular strategy that we could utilize, but based on which areas Data Hub is utilized for the integration, there could be a clear migration of those tasks to either PI, PO as the mode of integration with ERP, or it could be the CPI tool which would provide that integration, but something that requires analysis on the project itself to understand the processes, and then map out the plan for those integrations to be utilized with the best approach, whether that be PI, PO, or CPI, which is the Cloud Platform Integration approach for ERP.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nikhil. And I think to summarise on that topic, both legitimate way of working. We have a lot of customers that have invested heavily in Data Hub. There is a transition route to SAP Cloud Platform Integration that can be looked at when it suits. I believe functionality is pretty similar now. I'll probably point you to a couple of resources. We have SAP CX Works as a forum for some topics like this, and also feel free to reach out to us after the session as well, because it's it's a topic which probably requires a bit more time and detail. I actually have a couple more questions here as well, very quickly. So maybe for Sagi, first of all, just around, you mentioned in the session about the upgrade roadmap of the platform, and that it's expected to be a smooth automatic upgrade on the cloud, and the business can benefit from some of the new SAP Commerce Cloud features as soon as they're released. Is that how you're now starting to work in terms of being able to leverage those new Commerce Cloud features once SAP are starting to release them?
The first improvements are in terms of UI UX. They were top priority for us after the go live. So we released a fresh new design of our main pages like home page, product listing page, product detail page, and the entire navigation of the site, like filtering, sorting, the way we display the catalog. And the second big point for us was transforming our site to be a global site. So with one of our core integrations, we are now able to support with advanced payment methods of different countries and have a proper global delivery network.
Brilliant, thank you. Anything to add to that, Nikhil?
I think Sagi has pretty much covered all the points apart from the performance and the scalability of the environment now. They obviously had the plan for the global rollout and managing the capability of the catalog in SAP Commerce and modifying them to suit the E5P needs, specifically something that they're leveraging from SAP Commerce now. And with new features, I think based on the new features rollout, it's our plan to keep the platform closely aligned with the roadmap. So any new features that are coming out, they are being monitored and making sure that we could leverage them from the E5P solution perspective and to make sure that they are leveraging the best value from the platform itself.
Super. No, thank you, Nikhil, and thank you, Sagi, for the input on that one. Just have a couple more first of all. So one of them here is: are there any other webinars that are being ran on this topic or similar topics that can be used? Because I think it's always great to hear from customers and also to hear from Reply and their experience in the market. So Nikhil, I don't know if there's any other sessions in the future that you guys are running on these topics.
Yeah, so actually there are quite a few sessions that Portaltech Reply is running. One of the next immediate ones is on the 30th of July, which is more of a tech webinar, which gives more details from a technical perspective around this upgrade and migration to SAP Cloud for E5P and all the integrations that were built as part of the project and the steps that were followed for the migration. So it's more technical oriented, so please feel free to join, guys. All the details of the webinars are on the PTR LinkedIn page. So that one is coming up on the 30th of July. There's one that we ran 2 weeks before around the introduction session for the SAP Cloud itself. And that's something that, again, could be followed from the PTR LinkedIn page, and you could hear the recording and follow that. And also there are a few B2B series of webinars specifically oriented towards B2B vertical, and those are, again, available on the PTR LinkedIn page. So you could follow that page, and it would guide you to all the webinars that we are running.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nikhil. And I think I mentioned SAP CX Works earlier as a really good thought leadership articles. A lot of our architects and a lot of our consultants and industry value engineers write articles into here. We also have something called Enable CX, which is our video platforms, so you can watch overview topics like what this is the B2B accelerator, but you could also look at something specific like putting a new promotion on site and the steps taken to do that. And the final resource, if you're a current customer, you should, if you're subscribing to emails, you should get a monthly newsletter on the different products. But if you're not, you can also go to the SAP support portal and click on products and click on SAP customer experience, and we can share the links afterwards. And here there's a lot of videos, and there's also some upcoming webinars as well. We run a lot of expert sessions. Some of them are more technical topics. I'm sure there'll be one coming up, for example, on the CPI piece. And then there's a lot of discussion around the roadmap and Spartacus and some of the key areas. And we've got people that are actually the consultants running these sessions to keep you updated on everything. So I hope you can avail of those as well. Just very briefly, because I'm conscious we're running over time, but I really appreciate all the input from Sagi and Nikhil, and also from the audience and the questions. And if there's any last questions, feel free to add them in now. I had one more here myself, and it was really just firstly for Sagi and then for Nikhil on any final advice or final thoughts you would have for someone embarking on a project similar to this. So maybe Sagi first.
First advice is to have a proper discovery with your partner or integrator. Don't look for shortcuts here. It's very important to draw all the requirements from the beginning of the project and make sure that both sides understand the requirements and do proper analysis of how to implement your requirements. Second thing is always be patient when things does not go through the plan. Mainly there are challenges with third parties that can slow down the project. So you should be patient if something doesn't go through the plan. I guess those are the two tips I can give for this kind of project.
That's brilliant, Sagi. Yeah, very, very important ones to know. And I think Nikhil will be interesting to get your experience, because obviously you're doing this with a lot of customers at the moment. So any kind of advice or guidance you might have for someone in similar shoes to Sagi at the moment.
Yeah, I think Sagi touched base on the fact of the discovery, the whole aspect of that particular process, and that would be my main advice is to make sure that you set up upfront goals and objectives of the task itself, whether that be just around upgrade or migration or new feature development. It's very important that everybody is on the same page in terms of understanding those goals and objectives upfront. And then having a plan in place with the customer, working on it together rather than in isolation throughout the implementation cycle, so that the progress can be monitored, could be governed, the change management could be monitored by both the parties, and having that sort of great communication and flexibility from a role and responsibility perspective, where you go over and beyond, or your integrator is happy to go over and beyond the typical roles and responsibilities on the project to make it a full project. That would be my main advice.
Brilliant, thank you, Nikhil. So if there's no further questions, I think we'll wrap up here. I just wanted to firstly thank the speakers again for their time. Thank you, Sagi. Thank you, Nikhil. Been really insightful. Congratulations on what you've achieved. I know Sagi is only just the beginning, but it's a great achievement, and really excited for where this takes the next journey and taking the next steps on the SAP Commerce Cloud. And I'd really like to thank the audience as well for all of the questions and the participation. I'm sure there'll be a link to this afterwards for you and anyone else who weren't able to join. And I'm sure we can send some of the links and some of the areas we discussed today. And by all means, feel free to reach out to all three of us with any further questions or comments. So I think that's it from me. And thank you, Nikhil and Sagi again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.